Captain Minho rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the control panel of the exploration ship Harmony. They had been flying through empty space for 3 months, looking for new planets and life forms. So far, they had found nothing but rocks and gas clouds. "Captain, we're getting something strange," said Yuna, the communications officer. Her voice was excited but confused. "There's a distress signal coming from the edge of our scanning range. It's very weak, but it's definitely there." Mina walked over to her station. The signal was breaking up badly, but he could hear desperate voices speaking in a language their computer was trying to translate. "What are they saying?" Yuna frowned at her screen. "The translation is messy, but I'm getting words like help, us and dying, and something about crystal people. Their life support systems seem to be failing." Science Officer Giwan looked up from his instruments. "Captain, I've never seen energy readings like these before. Whatever's out there, it's definitely not human technology." Minho felt his heart racing. After months of finding empty space, they might finally be meeting aliens, but these aliens were in trouble. He thought about his crew, his mission, and what his duty meant. They were explorers, yes, but they were also human beings who couldn't ignore someone calling for help. "Helmsman Soyen, change course immediately," he ordered. "Head straight for that signal. Maximum speed." "Yes, sir," Soyen replied, her fingers dancing over the navigation controls. The ship turned and accelerated toward the source of the distress call. "Giwan, get the medical bay ready for anything," Minho continued. "We don't know what these beings look like, or what they need to survive, but we're going to try to save them. Already on it, Captain," Giwan said, running toward the medical section. "I'm preparing multiple environment chambers and different atmosphere mixes." As the Harmony got closer to the coordinates, they could see a strange ship floating in the dark. It was unlike anything in human design, smooth and curved like a seashell, but clearly damaged. Parts of it were dark, where lights should have been glowing. Through the transparent sections of the alien vessel, they could see movement. The beings inside looked like they were made of living glass or crystal. They moved slowly, weakly, and seemed to be getting dimmer as the crew watched. "Oh my God," whispered Soyen from her pilot seat. "They're beautiful, but they look like they're dying. Some of them have already stopped moving." Minho stared at the alien ship and felt something he had never experienced before. Here were beings from another world, completely different from humans, and they needed help. Their crystalline bodies were fading like dying stars. "Yuna, open all communication channels," he said firmly. "Let them know we're here to help. I don't care if they can't understand us yet. We're going to save as many as we can." The moment Dr. Kyung stepped into the alien ship, everything went wrong. His normal speaking voice made the crystal beings writhe in pain, their bodies flickering like candles in a hurricane. The standard ship lighting that seemed normal to humans was like fire to their delicate skin. "Turn everything down," Kyung whispered urgently to his medical team. "The lights are hurting them." Engineer Haeon quickly dimmed the lights until the room was almost completely dark. Even then, the alien beings seemed to struggle with the faint glow from the emergency strips. Kyung realized he would have to work almost blind to help these creatures. "We need complete silence," whispered Wonho, the head of the engineering team. His crew was trying to set up a special medical chamber, but every small sound seemed to cause the aliens distress. Even the soft beeping of medical equipment was too loud for them. The engineering team had to work like ghosts, communicating only through hand signals and moving with extreme care. They built a specialized environment chamber using only silent tools and soft movements. It took 3 times longer than normal, but they couldn't risk causing more pain to the dying beings. Science Officer Ji-won studied the translation data from their first contact attempts. His face was troubled as he reported his findings to Captain Minho. "Captain, these beings call themselves the Velter," Ji-won explained in a quiet voice. "According to their records, They come from a world they describe as perfect. No storms, no earthquakes, no dangerous animals, constant gentle weather and soft light. They've never had to deal with anything harsh or violent. He paused, looking at the readouts. They're calling Earth a death world. They can't understand how anything could survive there, let alone become intelligent. To them, we must seem like monsters who conquered a planet that should have killed us. Captain Minho carefully approached the lead Velter, moving slowly and keeping his voice barely above a whisper. The alien was the size of a person, but looked like it was carved from the most delicate crystal. Lights moved through its body like slow lightning. "We're here to help you," Minho said, as softly as he could. "You're safe now. We won't hurt you." The translator took a moment to process the alien's response. When it came through, there was something like amazement in the artificial voice. "How is this possible?" the Velter asked. "You come from a world of violence and death, yet you touch us with such gentleness. We have met many species from peaceful worlds who were crueler than you. How can Deathworld beings be so careful with life?" Dr. Kuhn continued his medical work, in near darkness, using only the softest instruments. As he worked, he realized something important. Maybe surviving on a dangerous world hadn't made humans into monsters. Maybe it had taught them how precious and fragile life really was. The rescue of the Veltor created a storm across the galaxy that nobody expected. Within just 3 days, every major communication network was talking about the mysterious new species called humans. The Velter had shared their incredible story with everyone they could contact. Communications officer Yuna sat at her station, watching message after message flood their systems. Her screen was filled with news reports, government communications, and military alerts from dozens of different alien civilizations. "Captain, this is getting crazy," Yuna said, scrolling through the endless stream of data. The Velter told everyone about us. "They're calling us the gentle Deathworlders, and describing how we saved them without asking for anything in return." Security Chief Doyan was analyzing the military communications from various galactic powers. His expression was serious as he read through threat assessments and strategic reports. "Most of the major empires are scared of us," Doyan reported. "They're calling emergency meetings and preparing their fleets. The Krex Dominion thinks we're planning to invade. The Steel Confederation is convinced we're some kind of secret weapon created by their enemies. But something else was happening that surprised everyone. Mixed in with the fear and military preparations were dozens of desperate calls for help. "Captain, look at this," Yuna said, highlighting a section of her screen. "We're getting distress signals from species I've never heard of. The Gossamer Collective says their floating cities are under attack by energy pirates. The Tender Branch colonies are being destroyed by some kind of metal-eating virus, and there's a group called the Shelleskethra, who say their entire species is dying from solar radiation poisoning." Navigation Officer Nari brought up the star charts, marking each location where distress calls were coming from. The pattern that emerged was disturbing. "Captain, these aren't military conflicts," Nari explained, pointing to the scattered points of light. "These are all peaceful species, being attacked by predators, pirates, or environmental disasters. None of them have armies or weapons. They can't fight back." Captain Minho studied the flood of requests for help. Each message represented thousands or millions of lives in danger. These weren't warrior species calling for military assistance. These were gentle beings whose peaceful natures made them easy targets in a violent galaxy. He read message after message. The Gossamer Collective were beings made of living energy, who couldn't fight physical attackers. The Tender Branch were plant-like creatures who had never developed weapons because they had never needed them. The Shelleskethra were soft-bodied beings whose protective shells had been destroyed by climate change on their homeworld. "Sir, there are 17 different species asking for help," Yuna reported, "and more messages are coming in every hour. Word is spreading that humans actually help instead of hurt." Minho looked at his crew and made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Plot courses to all of them, he ordered. Contact Earth Command and tell them we need more ships, more medical supplies, and more volunteers. If these beings need help, we're going to give it to them. 3 months had passed since the first rescue, and the human fleet had grown beyond anyone's expectations. What started with one exploration ship had become a fleet of 12 specialized rescue vessels, each one designed to help different types of alien life. Chief Medical Officer Sujin stood in the medical bay of the flagship, watching her team prepare for their next mission. She was explaining to Taeyeon, the newly appointed fleet coordinator, why humans were uniquely suited for this dangerous work. Look at this, Sujin said, pointing to a medical report on her screen. Last week, we rescued the coral mines from a plague world. The disease would have killed any other galactic species within minutes, but our immune systems handled it like a common cold. We didn't even need special protective gear. Taeyeon studied the data with amazement. So our bodies are naturally equipped for this kind of work. Exactly, Sujin nodded. Earth taught us to survive anything. We have backup organs, in case one fails. Our blood can carry oxygen, even in thin atmospheres. Our skin can handle radiation levels that would cook most aliens. What other species see as primitive and brutal adaptations, we use to walk into disasters and save lives. Down in engineering, Seok-jin had become the galaxy's leading expert on alien life support systems. His workshop was filled with strange devices designed to keep dozens of different species alive. This tank is for the mist dancers, he explained to his apprentice, pointing to a chamber filled with swirling gases. They're made of living vapor and need exactly the right mixture of gases to survive. Too much oxygen, and they dissolve. Too little, and they fade away. He moved to another device. These soil beds are for the root singers. They're plant people who need specific minerals from their homeworld. And this acoustic chamber is for the echo children. They literally need perfect sound waves to live. One wrong frequency, and they die. The young engineer looked overwhelmed. How do you keep track of all these different requirements? Seok-jin smiled. Because we humans had to adapt to survive on Earth. We learned to adapt to help others survive anywhere. On the bridge, Captain Minho watched through the main viewport as his crew carefully moved a group of rescued luminous ones into specialized containment fields. These beings were made of pure living light, and they had been attacked by energy. Pirates who tried to drain their life force. They're so beautiful, said First Officer Ju Jian, watching the light beings float safely in their protective fields. It's hard to believe anyone would want to hurt them. Minho nodded thoughtfully. The galaxy keeps calling us Deathworlders like it's some kind of insult. They think coming from a dangerous planet makes us violent and cruel. He paused, watching as Dr. Sujin gently adjusted the light filters to make the luminous ones more comfortable. But maybe they're wrong, Minho continued. Maybe surviving on a death world didn't make us into killers. Maybe it taught us how precious life really is. When you've seen how easily things can die, you learn to protect what's living. The rescue fleet continued its work across the galaxy, each mission proving that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their ability to survive Earth's dangers, but their determination to make sure others never had to face such dangers alone. 2 years had passed, and what started as a single rescue mission had grown into something incredible. The Terran Sanctuary Network now stretched across 15 star systems, creating safe havens for the galaxy's most vulnerable species. Admiral Min stood on the bridge of the massive command ship Guardian, looking out at the bustling activity around the newest sanctuary station. Ships of all sizes came and went, carrying refugees, medical supplies, and hope to those who needed it most. He still couldn't believe how far they had come from that first distress signal. Admiral, the morning briefing is ready, announced his aide, leading him to the command center where his department heads were waiting. Medical Director Yoon-ji was the first to report. She had overseen the construction of 12 orbital hospitals, each one designed to care for species with completely different biological needs. We now have medical facilities for 43 different alien physiologies, Yunji explained, pointing. 2 holographic displays, showing the various hospital sections. We've learned to whisper when treating the sound-sensitive chime people. Keep lights dimmed to barely visible levels for our crystal-based patients, and we've built entire zero-gravity wings for the cloud dwellers who can't survive in normal gravity. She smiled proudly. Our medical teams have become experts at gentle care. We've had to completely relearn medicine, but we're saving lives that no one else in the galaxy could save. Ji-hoon, head of the Rapid Response Division, stepped forward. Next, he was responsible for training the rescue teams that responded to emergency calls across the network. We have 30 rapid response ships now, with mixed human and alien crews, Ji-hoon reported. But I keep reminding every new team member of our core principle. We are not warriors, we are protectors. Our job isn't to fight enemies, it's to save the innocent. Every being we rescue makes the galaxy a little less cruel and a little more hopeful. The success of the Sanctuary Network had attracted surprising allies. Species that had never worked with humans before were now eager to help. The plant-like Verdant Council has been incredible, Yunji added. They provide us with medical supplies that we could never create ourselves, healing compounds that work specifically on non-human biologies. Their medicines have saved thousands of lives. Diplomatic liaison Seal had been busy managing relationships with peaceful species across the galaxy. Her report showed how much the political landscape was changing. 17 more species have formally requested sanctuary status this month, Seal announced. The scholarly archivists have been sharing detailed information about vulnerable populations throughout the galaxy, species that most governments didn't even know existed. They're helping us find beings who need protection before disasters strike. She paused, looking around the room. But the most important change is in how other species view strength itself. The old galactic powers measured strength through conquest and domination. Our network is proving that real strength comes from protection and care. Admiral Minho listened to these reports with growing amazement. They had accidentally started a revolution in how the galaxy thought about power and purpose. Keep up the excellent work, everyone, he said. We're not just saving lives, we're showing the galaxy that there's a better way to use strength. The peace didn't last. The Skartok Empire had been watching the growth of the human sanctuary network with growing anger. These reptilian warriors had built their entire civilization on hunting and raiding the galaxy's weakest species. For generations, they had grown rich by attacking those who couldn't fight back. Now, humans were protecting their prey. The attack came without any warning. 3 sanctuary worlds were hit at exactly the same time, a coordinated strike designed to destroy the human network in one devastating blow. Alarms screamed across the Guardian as reports flooded in from Haven Station, New Eden Colony, and Peaceful Harbor. Commander Jiho was stationed at Haven Station when the Skartok warships appeared on the sensors. The station housed over 50,000 refugees from 12 different species, beings who had nowhere else to go and no way to defend themselves. Battle stations, Jiho ordered, his voice calm despite the approaching danger. All civilian ships, move to the far side of the station. Human defense fleet, form protective formation around the refugee areas. His tactical team looked nervous as they watched the enemy ships approach. The Skartok had twice as many vessels, and their warships were designed for destruction. "Commander, they're hailing us," reported the communications officer. "They're demanding we surrender the refugees to them." Jiho's face hardened. "Tell them that's not going to happen. These people are under our protection." As the Skartok ships moved into attack formation, Jiho addressed his crew over the ship's intercom. "I know what they're thinking. They see us protecting the weak, and they think that makes us soft. They think we're easy targets because we care about innocent lives." He paused, looking out at the enemy fleet. "They're about to learn something important about humans. We don't just survive on Deathworlds by being gentle. We survive by being tougher than anything that tries to kill us. The battle began with the Skartok launching their heaviest weapons at the human ships. They expected the defenders to break and run like so many other species had done before. Instead, the human warships absorbed the attacks and kept fighting, built to handle the extreme conditions around Earth, solar storms, asteroid impacts, and radiation levels that would destroy most alien ships. They were incredibly tough, but more than that, the human crews fought with a fury that surprised everyone, including themselves. These weren't professional soldiers. They were rescue workers, doctors, and engineers. But when innocent lives were threatened, they discovered a strength they didn't know they had. Communications Officer Hai-sung was monitoring enemy transmissions during the battle. What she heard made her smile grimly. "Commander, I'm picking up their internal communications," she reported. "They're panicking. They're calling us death, who guard the helpless, and monsters, who protect the weak. They can't understand how we can be both gentle and deadly at the same time." The battle lasted only 4 hours. When it was over, the surviving Skartok ships retreated in confusion and fear. They had expected an easy victory against soft-hearted protectors. Instead, they had encountered something they had never seen before: warriors who fought not for conquest, but for the defense of others. The message spread quickly through the galaxies. Criminal networks, the human sanctuaries were not easy targets. The Deathworlders were not to be underestimated. 5 years had passed since Captain Minho first heard that desperate distress signal, and the galaxy was completely different now. The changes went far beyond just the human sanctuary network. Entire civilizations had begun to rethink what strength and power really meant. Captain Sunwoo stood on the bridge of the Compassion, the newest and most advanced sanctuary ship in the human fleet. She was reviewing the monthly reports from across human space, and what she read amazed her. "Ma'am, you need to see this intelligence report," said Officer Mira, handing over a datapad. "The Velta, remember, they were the first species we rescued. They've done something incredible." Sunwoo read the report with growing excitement. "They've built their own defensive fleet. But I thought they were completely pacifist." "They are," Mira explained, "but they're not using the ships to attack anyone. They're using them for evacuations and rescue missions. They studied how we operate and decided they wanted to help save lives too. Their crystal ships are perfect for medical evacuations because they can create the gentlest possible environments for injured beings." The changes weren't limited to just the Velta. Kangman, head of the Cultural Exchange Program, had even more surprising news. "The Gossamer Collective has become our closest ally," Kangman reported during the morning briefing. "These energy beings have shared their most advanced technology with us, secrets for manipulating energy fields that they've never shown any other species. They're helping us build life support systems that can keep any type of being alive, no matter how unusual their biology." He smiled as he continued. "It's not just charity anymore. It's become a real partnership. We protect them from energy pirates. They help us save lives more effectively. Both sides benefit, but more importantly, innocent beings across the galaxy benefit." Perhaps the most shocking change was reported by Dami, who monitored galactic politics and military movements. "You're not going to believe this," Dami announced, "but 3 different Skartok clan leaders have requested formal meetings with our diplomatic corps. They want to discuss what they're calling honorable protection contracts." Captain Sunwoo raised her eyebrows. "The same Skartok who attacked our sanctuary stations." "The very same," Dami nodded. "Apparently, losing that battle made them realize something. They want to hire human crews to guard their trade routes and protect their own civilian populations. They're saying that fighting for protection is more honorable than fighting for conquest." Across the galaxy, Admiral Minho was touring the newest sanctuary station. As he walked through the corridors, he saw something that would have been unimaginable 5 years ago. Human and alien crew members worked side by side, their different abilities, combining to create something greater than either could achieve alone. He stopped at an observation window and watched as a mixed crew of humans, Velter and Gossamer, beings worked together to repair a damaged refugee transport. The humans provided the physical strength and technical knowledge. The Velter offered their incredible attention to detail, and the Gossamer beings manipulated energy fields to power the repairs. "Admiral, the transformation has been remarkable," said his aide, joining him at the window. "We've received requests for sanctuary partnerships from over 200 species now." Minho smiled as he watched the collaborative work below. "You know what the best part is? We didn't conquer anyone. We didn't force anyone to change. We just showed them that there was another way to use strength, not to dominate others, but to protect them. And once they saw it was possible, they wanted to be part of it." The galaxy had learned that true strength came not from the ability to destroy, but from the determination to preserve and protect. The ancient evil that emerged from the galactic core was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Devourers appeared suddenly, massive mechanical swarms that had been sleeping in the darkness between stars for millions of years. Now they were awake, and they were hungry. These weren't ordinary machines. They were planet eaters, converting entire star systems into fuel for their endless expansion. Whole worlds disappeared in days, consumed by swarms of mechanical creatures that grew stronger with every system they devoured. Emergency Coordinator Bora had never faced anything like this in her career. From her command center aboard the Guardian, she watched in horror as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Every major civilization was under attack simultaneously. "The scale is beyond anything we've prepared for," Bora announced to her crisis team. "We're looking at the largest evacuation in galactic history. Billions of beings need to be moved to safety, and we have maybe weeks before the swarms reach the core worlds." Strategic analyst Han Jin delivered the military briefings that grew more desperate each day. The galaxy's greatest warriors were falling like dominoes against this ancient threat. The hegemony threw everything they had at the lead swarm, Han Jin reported, his voice grim. 50 worlds lost in 7 days. Their entire war fleet was destroyed, and it didn't even slow the Devourers down. The Iron Collective lasted 3 days. Even the Skartok Empire fled without fighting. For the first time in galactic history, every major power put aside their differences. In the Emergency Council chamber, representatives from hundreds of species gathered under human coordination. Natural enemies sat beside their traditional prey, united by the threat of complete extinction. Fleet Admiral Minho stood before this unprecedented assembly. The weight of billions of lives rested on the decisions made in this room. "We need to face the truth," Minho announced to the gathered representatives. "Our combined military forces can't stop these machines. Every direct assault has failed. But we can do something else. We can save everyone they're trying to destroy." He gestured to the strategic displays, showing the advancing swarms. "The Devourers want to consume matter and energy. We're going to give them empty worlds while we evacuate every living being to safety. Every life we preserve is a victory they can't take away from us." The great evacuation began immediately. Human rescue ships, designed for impossible missions, led the largest fleet in galactic history. They raced ahead of the advancing swarms, carrying refugees from dozens of species to prepared sanctuary worlds far beyond the Devourers' reach. As military fleets fell one by one, the human rescue ships continued their mission. They had learned to survive in the most dangerous environments, and now they used that knowledge to save others from the ultimate danger. Dr. Yeren stood on the bridge of the hospital ship, Mercy, as they loaded the final survivors from the planet, Kethera. Behind them, the sky was growing dark as the Devourer swarm approached the system. "That's the last transport," reported her medical officer. 15,000 survivors from a world of 50 million. Yaren watched the swarms advance through the viewport. The mechanical creatures moved like a living cloud of destruction, consuming everything in their path. "The Devourers can have the planets," she said quietly, "but they won't get the people. As long as we keep saving lives, they haven't truly won." The evacuation continued across the galaxy, proving that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their ability to fight, but their refusal to give up on any life worth saving. 10 years had passed since the Devourer crisis, and the galaxy was unrecognizable from what it had been before. The ancient machines had mysteriously shut down just as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving behind empty star systems, but also something far more valuable: a completely transformed galactic civilization. Commander Isiel stood on the bridge of the new dawn, watching her mixed-species crew work together with perfect coordination. Her ship was one of hundreds like it now, vessels crewed by humans and aliens working as equals, united by a shared mission of protection and rescue. The New Dawn was responding to a distress call from the Outer Rim, where a colony of peaceful farmers was under attack by raiders. It was exactly the kind of mission that defined the new galaxy, protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. "Crew briefing in 5 minutes," ICL announced over the ship's communication system. Her crew gathered in the main conference room: humans, Valter, gossamer beings, reformed Skartok, and several other species working together seamlessly. "The old galaxy valued strength through domination," ICL told her diverse crew as they prepared for the rescue mission. "Civilizations measured their power by how many worlds they conquered, how many enemies they destroyed. We've built something completely different, a galaxy where strength comes from preservation, from protecting life instead of ending it." Her science officer, Junseo, was a Valter, whose crystalline body glowed softly in the dimmed conference room lighting. When he spoke, his whisper-soft voice carried the wisdom of someone whose entire species had been saved by human compassion. "Humans taught us something that changed everything," Junseo said, his words carefully translated for the diverse crew. "Survival isn't about being the strongest or the most ruthless. Real survival means making sure everyone survives together. When you save others, you save yourself." After the briefing, Communications Officer Haichin made her way to the ship's observation lounge. This had become her favorite place on the ship, a large room with viewing windows, where off-duty crew members could relax and socialize. What she saw there always filled her with hope. Children from a dozen different species played together under the watchful eyes of human and alien crew members. These were refugee children who had been rescued from various disasters, now traveling with the ship until they could be reunited with their families or placed in safe homes. A young human girl was teaching a group of Velter children how to play a simple Earth game, while a gossamer being created beautiful light patterns to entertain a shy plant child from the verdant worlds. Former Skartok warriors, now reformed protectors, carefully watched over the play area to make sure no one got hurt. "It's hard to believe how much things have changed," said Dr. Minwoo, the ship's medical officer, as he joined Haijin at the observation window. 10 years ago, most of these species had never even met. Some were natural enemies. Now look at them. Haijin nodded, watching as the children laughed and played together, despite their completely different biologies and cultures. The adults learned to work together to survive the Devourer crisis. But the children are growing up thinking this is normal, that cooperation and protection are just the natural way of life. As the New Dawn prepared to jump to hyperspace toward their rescue mission, Commander ICL reflected on how far they had all come. The galaxy still remembered the fear they had felt when the Deathworlders first appeared. Humans had been seen as terrifying monsters from a world of violence and death, but now they knew the truth. Humanity's greatest strength had never been their ability to survive Earth's harsh conditions. Their real power came from their determination to ensure that others never had to face such hardships alone. The stars seemed brighter now, touched by the light of compassion that guided the galaxy's future toward something better than anyone had ever imagined possible.